want to try a little experiment. We were thinking about a little game and this is going to be interesting. And of course, we haven't done this before, so fingers crossed.
Great. Okay.
Yeah,
it should
right?
be. Yeah,
Good stuff.
Everything else was
What could go
perfectly
wrong?
scripted up to this point.
Exactly.
Like, we're going off the rails.
Yeah. The idea behind this game is it's called Bet on It or Pass. And would you bet your career on this trend or would you walk away? So I'll just read a couple of statements and maybe you three just give your quick hot take on whether this is something that is here to stay or that is just totally false or maybe somewhere in between. So the first one, most code will be written by AI rather than humans in the future. Bet on it or pass?
I'd bet on it, totally.
Yeah, I'd bet on it too.
Easy.
To be clear,
yes.
most code, remember when they used to pay per lines of code? Like, you can write a lot of code.
Yes.
We didn't say the best code.
Well, because and eventually most code will only be able to be read by AI.
That is one of the specific fears I have is like you do a generative AI thing and you get further and further into it and then all of a sudden you can never refactor it.
Yes. So you have to have the AI rewrite it from scratch.
Yeah. It's be an interesting world. But yes, definitely bet.
Yeah, it will be a lot of spaghetti.
There'll be a lot of spaghetti, which again is good.
I know it sounds like a delicious metaphor, but it's really not a good thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Our next trend. In 5 years, developers won't even know what infrastructure they're deploying to. Bet on it or pass?
Pass.
Bet.
Ooh.
I'd bet on it.
I would bet on it.
Well, we have a little bit of a...
Well, let's define infrastructure, right?
Okay.
In this regard, I mean, would they know if they're deploying to, Kubernetes or EC2 instances? I say no. Right. Would they know if it's like, it's Azure or AWS? Maybe that might factor into it more because it's depending on how deep in the stack are we talking infrastructure? But I do think a bet on it would be that they're going to care less about what infrastructure they're deploying onto.
I think the mindset I have is even at a company like Netflix where it's been automated for you, you know what it is. You know that it's like my container will arrive there and it will have certain constraints around it. And it's been made easy and the golden pathways are there. But I feel like a lot of these companies have all adopted developer operational responsibility where when there's an outage, you're expected to be able to hop into the system and try to debug why is your container ooming almost instantly or crashing or not booting up. I don't know, like I've been in infrastructure for a long time and there's always this promise that don't worry, we're finally going to abstract it in such a way you don't need to know what a queuing system is or what a distributed Kafka stream is. And more, I continue to see people's resumes. Any senior software engineer comes in, they're like, yes, I can work with a Kafka stream. I can work with this, work with that. And maybe that's not what we meant by infrastructure, but in my mind, I think like if I want to incorporate a Kafka stream into the way that I solve, real-time streaming data, to me, that's infrastructure. And right. I feel like you have to know these tools in order to be successful. And I don't think AI can replace it in 5 years.
Well, I think you have to know the tools. I think you definitely have to know the tools to develop on them. But I think in the question of like, well, where they get deployed to.
Yeah, where? I'm with you there. Where? Sure.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. Interesting. As the closer we can move towards, I guess, solving the real problems versus worrying about the details of implementation, the better. Our next trend, developers will never give up their local environments no matter how good cloud alternatives get. Bet on it or pass?
All developers will give up on it for CDEs?
What do you think? You can draw your own. We don't really have any other stipulations.
I think it'll be. I think it'll be sometime in the future. I think it will happen, but I think right now it's trending that way. I'll say. I mean, there will always be someone who's like, no, I have, and there are situations where they may not be able to connect to a cloud.
That's what I see has always been the biggest thing that prevents it from being the perfect solution is you're in a hotel with bad Wi-Fi, you're on a flight, you're somewhere else.
Yeah.
I think there's an interesting idea. I really like the idea of dev containers. I've never been able to get them in a fully productized way that actually like fully solves people's problems. But the idea of I have a container running on my Mac, if Rosetta was performant enough that it just automatically translated everything and it didn't have a performance penalty, it'd be cool to see that world. And I imagine that's where Apple and these other things are going to go is they're going to continue to make it better.
Yeah.
So maybe, so it's like, I imagine a world where your environment is still ephemeral, but you can use your portable compute
Yes. Yeah. I think the default will be it's assumed to be ephemeral and remote. But the laptop or the local would be an exception to that rule. I think that will be the transition at some point.
I agree. Yeah, I would bet on most developers, and maybe give up isn't the way I'm thinking about it. I'm thinking of in the future, more and more people are graduating with knowing some form of programming, and with generative AI, maybe they're not even writing the programming, but they're running the programming.
Yeah.
And I think that the next generation and the following generations will all be remote. So that'll cause, the majority of programming to be remote.
Cool. Yeah. All right. We'll try one more and then we'll wrap up.
I like this one.
Oh, yeah. In 5 years, engineering teams will have more PMs and less emphasis on pure coding roles. Bet on it or pass?
I'm a hard pass.
Yeah.
As a PM.
Yeah, I was like, there's some bias over here.
Yeah. Sample bias. I don't know. I think it's interesting. It depends on the focus, but I do think pure coding roles, like meaning I am actually just here to write code, I'd say decrease for sure, because then it's more about my role is not about writing the code. It's about having the concept and getting the concept delivered. So I think it'll be less of I don't think it'll be that you have more PMs. I think the coders will be more product focused.
Yeah, PM skills.
Yeah, PM skills are more
roles.
valued than necessarily. Yes, I can code a kernel. So
makes sense.
I completely agree with you there. The reason I don't think there'll be more PM functional roles is a lot of the things many product managers do as well. I think isn't particularly creative in nature. It's, taking requirements from above or from the side or below or whatever, translating it into something that's more digestible for an engineering team or for leadership or something like that. And then the work's getting done. So I think product management as a translation layer is going to go away quite a lot in the next 5 years. And that's something I'm really excited for. I don't think it's the fun part of the role at all. I think the fun part is thinking and creating. But I do completely agree that I heard this quote, and I might butcher it a little bit, but it's like, as the barrier to entry gets low, like creativity becomes really important at utilizing the technology. So I think that engineers and product managers alike are going to have to get a lot more creative, as opposed to just doing not busy work, but doing translation, essentially.
I think the number of, maybe not the right way to think, but the number of jobs is going to decrease, because it's probably still going to increase as there's a lot more usage of it. But I think I was thinking of it, the same amount of work being done by less people, I imagine getting cut off from both sides. The industry I think that's going to get, the role I think is going to get much more decimated, super hot take, is design. And that because like there is AI today that can make art that is, as much as my father-in-law would not agree, is indecipherable from real art. And then people can see that and not understand. We're seeing time and time again with the AI that's available today that you can make art that people win a competition and people can't see it, which really starts to question what is art, what is everything, if a computer can just do it. Yeah. So I see a lot in the world of design where you could more and more maybe get to the point where you ask the AI to say, give me 10 different UIs, like using the Apple model or the Crazy Eights model, like give me 8 different designs for this particular interface. Go, give me 8 more. That seems like a perfect thing for AI to do. So I imagine design becoming less and less of a specialty over.
I think design is actually similar to both product management and engineering in this way, in that, today most horrible designs that we interact with are actually created by humans and created by designers. So I think this is again where either creativity or just being really good at your job becomes really important, because the technical skills of, I know how to use Figma and I know how to place this radio button here, that goes away. And now it's, should there be a radio button here? And I think, again, it's just going to add more product thinking into a role that has been kind of like product management and like engineering has been primarily, not primarily, but there's a huge technical focus to it. And I think that technical focus is going to go away and it's going to become more of creativity and taste. Because, so I'm excited for a world of a lot like less shitty design. But
and usability, that's the same thing. It's like there's certain aspects of what we're talking about, creativity, usability, design, that are still very human, because of the way we interact with things. And so I think that will always be there, and bring it more to the forefront. If you're more worried about those things, you're not worried about, well, how do I get the button to move over here? Then.
Yeah.
An interesting thought experiment is really like what we're seeing with AI is that in the software development ecosystem, at least, is that the concept of writing code is not as much a defining edge anymore, right? Like it used to be like, the skill set of writing code is so special, you can get paid even if you're not a good programmer because there's so few of you out there. When that goes away to a degree with generative AI, you look at the companies like, why do you need Wix and why do you need some of these other tools? So what do the software engineering companies of the future look like in a world where you can get an AI system that can do, let's not say A, design or A, PMing. Let's say it's B. If you can get an infinite amount of B designs and B PMing and B programming, maybe C programming, what makes you a valuable company anymore? Like, what does having a product mean anymore if that's not the defining edge? So what will be the next $1 trillion company? I know Peter Thiel talked a bit about this, that the next innovation will be in the physical space. And that like what you can physically build and produce, because just pure software-based products, I don't think are going to be so uniquely valuable.
Right. They'll be so ubiquitous, It's like the app explosion and everything else. There's so many other, it'll become so prolific that, it won't mean anything.
Yeah. Yeah. I like creativity and usability as the kind of ending capstone on this podcast. Okay. Although I did also love the what is art and what is everything?
Yeah.
Be a leading.
That will be in the following episode.
Yeah. Small topics here. All right, that's a wrap. Huge thanks to all of our panelists for sharing their insights and experience with us today. I really appreciated the conversation. And if you enjoyed the conversation, please be sure to join our community on Discord. And if you're exploring cloud development environments in your own team, check out Coder at coder.com. We would love to hear your thoughts. Until next time, keep building. Keep pushing the boundaries of what's possible, and most importantly, stay in flow.